So I'm Maddy Martin. I'm the head of growth and education for Smith.ai. We are a 24/7 virtual receptionist service. And as part of an extended service to our business clients who are solo and small business owners, many solo and small firm attorneys, we are providing a master series webinar program where we have expert guests join us. And today I'm really excited to introduce Jaimee Hall and Matt Camp from Legal Back Office. They have a lot of experience in basically navigating and facilitating a better relationship, a stronger relationship between a marketing agency and law firms, maximizing the value there, understanding that there is significant value in sort of outsourcing marketing work to an agency, but there is a lot that's left on the table when those relationships are not optimized, when the communication is not as strong as it could be. So I am really excited to have Jaimee here, who's the CEO, and Matt, who's the head of marketing. Before I introduce them, I'm just going to walk through a couple of things that you can expect to learn. So Jaimee and Matt will cover how to measure your business with data points that truly matter and that are meaningful for your business, whether it's a law firm or other business, and then how that helps facilitate better communications with your agency or even your in-house marketing team and the leadership and executives of that business. So how do we translate those key business metrics in a way that's meaningful to all parties, and then set goals and objectives that can be easily tracked by your business and your agency or your in-house marketing department, so you can truly measure the ROI on your marketing efforts and invest more time and money on what really works. So without further ado, Jaimee and Matt, please introduce yourselves. Maybe Jaimee, let's go first.
Absolutely. Well, Maddy, thank you so much for having us. We just love being a part of these sorts of things and obviously sharing the knowledge that we've received over time, but also we always get a lot out of just collaborating and adding value and even learning from the participants. So it's so nice to meet you all. We started Legal Back Office about 3 years ago in June. That'll be a 3-year anniversary, which is exciting. And my background is I've been in the legal industry for about 9 years, but I've always been in professional services. So understanding how to serve our clients best is something I've been doing for a while. And we are lucky enough now to be serving clients, all law firms in 9 states. And that's fun. We have 10 employees at Legal Back Office. And we really just enjoy sort of partnering with law firms and helping them to set and achieve goals. And also we do that through strategy, but also outsourced accounting, marketing, and HR. So we get to touch, a lot of pieces of the client life cycle within law firms. So we feel like we have a unique vantage point that we hope we can share with you all today.
Awesome. Wonderful. Well, hopefully, Jaimee, you'll pull in some of your incredible backstory into the conversation today, because when we first talked, I was just blown away by your experience, and
Sure.
Matt, I'm sure you have a rich experience too. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Matt Camp. I'm the digital marketing manager with Legal Back Office. Started, digital marketing for about 10 years now. Seems like way too long. But I started out of college. My first job was doing content marketing for an international law firm. So they had offices across the United States and including the UK. So I was doing a lot of content, email, social media, all of that kind of stuff for them in-house. I moved on from that job after a couple of years to a small local marketing agency that was more general. We did a lot of local businesses, marketing for them. And everything from construction to, fabric sales to guitar sales, all of that. So I got a lot of experience there doing more of the advertising side, doing Google ads, Facebook ads, all of that, running the marketing department there. And then Jaimee poached me back when she started Legal Back Office to come and help the marketing wing of LBO.
Nice. Well, good on Jaimee for that. So go ahead and share your screen and let's get into it.
All right, let's do it. Yeah. So I just talked, high level about my background, and quickly here, getting my screen shared here for a second. I was in this really unique position where I was a part of a large law firm that had quite a few offices, and we had 120 offices in 40 states and the UK. And as you can imagine, that creates lots of unique opportunities for strategy and doing different things, but also lots of challenges, right? Behind, marketing in Albany is different than marketing in Des Moines, which is different than marketing in San Francisco or Baltimore or Miami. And Matt and I had the privilege of being a part of a business function that truly ran the business side of that large law firm. And so having done that for 6 years, we really learned a lot about, not just how to run a law firm and help it to be successful, but how do you work with outside business partners or vendors so that your firm or your business really can get the best results. Because a lot of times, small firm or small business owners, they get into business because they're passionate about something, right? Whether that's being a hairstylist or, being a baker or being a trainer and being in a fitness center. Like, usually that's, entrepreneurship is driven out of passion, not because you have a passion for doing bookkeeping, right? Or like that you even know much about marketing. And so we started noticing these small business owners, were struggling because they didn't know how to not only set their own goals, but also communicate with those business partners on how to help them achieve the goals that they wanted to achieve, and even holding them accountable to that. So I know Maddy walked through sort of our agenda for the day, so we won't repeat all of those, but this is really what we're hoping to accomplish today. And we really encourage you all to, if you want to follow up with us after and ask more questions, we welcome that, or if you want to put some questions in the chat, we're also happy to manage those as we go too. So some of these seem really obvious. We wanted to kick off the presentation talking about measuring your business. And it's no secret that measuring revenue is a good thing, right? Like, how much are you selling? How much money are you making? But I'm always fascinated when I hear, like, I had just yesterday was on the phone with a business owner that said something like, "Oh, our CPA, prepares those reports for us. When's the last time we got one of those?" And I was like, like cringing in the moment, and it's great, right? When you've got enough cash that you don't have to necessarily worry about what's going on within your books. But also it's a little scary because when you really are trying to grow and achieve something beyond where you are, or even if you're trying to mitigate risk for, situations like the last year, right? Or things that might happen to key members of your staff, not just measuring your revenue, but also measuring it consistently and looking at it is really, really important. But the thing that most people forget about is managing their revenue by either practice area or service line. So for example, if I'm a beautician and an esthetician and I both do hair, and maybe I'm a nail tech and I do nails, and I also do skincare, right? How much revenue or how much sales am I getting in all three of those areas? Or if I'm a law firm and I both practice divorce and family law and estate planning, am I measuring revenue for each of those? And we'll talk more about that and how it translates to your marketing team. But if you're not doing that today, I highly recommend that you do that. Another alternative to this is if you do all estate planning, for example, in your law firm, but you do hourly work and fixed fee work, I would also be measuring both. How much revenue are you producing on your hourly work, and how much revenue are you producing on your fixed fee work? The last thing here, or the third thing here, is, are you measuring the value of your matters, or the value of your clients, or the value of your product lines? How you come up with this number is, how much average revenue are you achieving per client or per practice area or per product line? So if I sell 3 different kinds of shampoo, how much money am I making in a year based on each type of shampoo, right? If I do all family law, what's the value of that one case, right? Even if it lasts a year or 18 months, am I bringing in $10,000 for one of those cases? Or let's say they're clients and you do personal training. What's the value, the lifetime value of one client? So how long do you keep those clients usually? If it's 2 years and they're paying you X amount of dollars over those 2 years, now you understand the value of one client. That's what we're trying to get at here, right? What is the value of one client or one case or one product line? The next thing we talk about regularly with our clients is gross profit. I can't tell you how many times I've looked at an income statement or a profit and loss statement, and gross profit is at 100%. Let me explain what gross profit is really quick. So your top line revenue is your total sales. Usually what comes next, if you're in like a manufacturing environment or you sell products, is an area at the top. It's called above the line on your financial spreadsheet or your financial reports. It's called cost of goods sold, otherwise known as COGS, COGS. Now, if you're selling a good, not a service, it's obvious, right? What's the cost of the good that I'm producing? How much does it cost me to produce this bottle of shampoo? I've got the plastic for the bottle. I've got the actual shampoo that's inside. I've got the operations associated with actually producing this product. Now, in a service, so if you are an esthetician or a beautician or a personal trainer or a lawyer, what is it that creates sales for you? It's people, right? So we always recommend that the cost of your people, because if you didn't have lawyers, you wouldn't have a law firm. If you didn't have the beautician, you wouldn't have a beauty service, right? So that becomes your cost of goods sold. And what that's telling you is that up on the top here, if we're paying out this much money in salaries, and that's what goes up there is salaries and benefits and taxes, this is how much it costs us in order to actually produce the services that we're selling. So if we don't have this cost, we don't have a business. Let me tell you why that's important. It's important because if you have a cash crunch and you're trying to figure out why, if your gross profit at the top is actually very high, that means your cost of your people is low, and that's fabulous. So you have a lot more money to spend on operations. But if you're not making much money and your net income on the very, very bottom or money that the owner's making, that means you're probably spending a lot of money in operations. Maybe you've got too much software. Maybe you're spending too much in outsourced services. Maybe who knows what the reason might be. Now, if you're up here, if your gross profit is really low, that means your people are costing you a lot of money, but they're probably not driving as much revenue as they possibly could. So if you have a cash issue on the bottom line, it could be because either your expenses are too high in your operations, or maybe your people aren't producing as much as they should. But if you don't put your salaries up there, you don't know what it is, right? Because they're all mixed into the bottom. I'm only sharing that because it's a good way to tell yourself the right story about your business in measuring something that can help you actually impact that decision-making process and get the results that you need. That was very long-winded, but it's a difficult concept to understand. So I wanted to try to explain it in a simple way. And then the last thing you should be measuring on that P&L is obviously profit or net income. We have a few other things that we think are important to be measuring in your business that can really help you, again, translate to your outsourced service providers. And trust me, we will get to the point here pretty quickly on what it means for marketing. But if you don't understand your business, your marketing team is never going to be successful, whether it's internal or external. The profitability of your service providers is also important. That comes back to what I was just talking about. If you're paying this much in salary for this person, how much are they producing for you in revenue? And then how much are they costing you to actually have them in your business? And how much profit is left over based on each individual person that provides that service? That tells you what your actual margin is of availability for you to take home as an owner or to distribute in bonuses or however you want to spend it. The next thing I have on here is customer satisfaction. It's pretty common to measure customer satisfaction in business in general, but a lot of industries don't measure this. And it's just a business best practice, especially in law firms. Lawyers are not measuring customer satisfaction. And we're going to argue later that measuring customer satisfaction can really help your marketing and thus really help your bottom line. Quality of work is also something that is commonly measured in business in general, but not measured in service industries like CPA firms. Even healthcare started measuring quality now, but lawyers and CPAs are not measuring quality. Quality matters as you want to scale and grow. If you're looking to grow your service-based business to beyond 10 service providers or 20 or 30, you need to understand that now as a business owner, you're completely losing control over time over the work product that's being put out to the customer. And measuring customer satisfaction tells you, does the customer like the work or value the work that you're doing? And are they comfortable with the person they're communicating with? It doesn't always tell you, are they getting a high quality product? We all know we can really love a service provider that we work with, but we're probably not getting the best possible service that we could get. The next thing on is here is what's your pipeline of future work? If you're using a CRM, a customer relationship management software, we'll talk a little bit more about that later. You can now assign the value. So now I know a divorce case value to me is $10,000. A personal training client value to me over 2 years is $2,400 because that's $100 a month. You know, I'm kind of spitballing these numbers. Now I know if I've got 10 leads that could become my personal training clients, I've got $24,000 in my pipeline of potential future work because the lifetime value of that one training client is $2,400. Same thing on the divorce cases. So I can start to assign those values. Now I know what the pipeline is that could be coming in the door in the future. That's work we don't yet have, but it helps us manage our capacity better. And most service-based firms aren't used to measuring their business in this way. And what ends up happening when you don't measure it? You're like, where are all the cases? We're really sitting around here twiddling our thumbs. We need work. What are we going to do? Or you're like, stop the cases. Like, I'm frantic, right? Like, we've got too much work. I can't hire. That's because you're not measuring your pipeline. If you're measuring your pipeline, you can try to smooth out and prevent that feast or famine impact to your business. The next one is the WIP, which we talk about pretty frequently in service-based organizations. But what's the work in progress? So we haven't billed it out yet. We haven't said to the client, here's how much money you owe me, but we're doing the work and we know the value of the work that we're doing. This will help you get out ahead of what your revenue is going to look like the next month. And the last thing on here is measuring the length of a customer relationship, a case, or a project. So if my average customer is a 12-month customer, or a case is 12-month case, or 18 months or 24 months, now I know I'm going to realize this amount of revenue in that amount of time. So I can better predict, okay, if a divorce case is $10,000 of value to me, but it takes 18 months to finish it, I'm not going to fully realize that $10,000 until 18 months from now. Now we can put together a really good financial model over the next rolling 12 months that tells us how much we can expect to earn over that period of time. Not only earn, but what types of resources do we need to be able to deliver upon those services that we've now sold? Make sense? Maddy, I just want to double check real quick. Are you watching the Q&As for us?
Yep, I am.
Perfect. I just didn't want to be like barreling through if there's a question.
No,
Just,
I'll interrupt you if there's
awesome.
anything.
Awesome. Cool.
Wait till the end or that comes through.
All right, cool. So now we're going to talk about actually measuring your business in like a more practical way. And then I'll be done talking here in a minute and I'll pass it over to Matt. It's really operationally important. So if you've got all those metrics that you want to measure, it can be very daunting and overwhelming. But the reality is it doesn't have to be. I was talking to a client yesterday that knew that they needed to change their compensation structure for their partners or their owners, but they were so overwhelmed at the idea of changing it because it takes so much time to track it today. And if they change it, it's going to take even more time to track. What I was sharing with them is the only reason why it's taking so long for them to track is because number one, their structure is too complicated. And number two, their system sucks. They have a software that, let's just call it what it is, right? They have old software. Today, software, push a button and it will tell you exactly what you want to know. So don't get overwhelmed by all these things you should be tracking because don't underestimate the value of good software. It can produce accurate and timely reporting, and that's on your operations side. So that might be, I know there's lots of cool tools out there within like salons and spas that are kind of tracking these things for you. If it's a case management or billing software for law firms or billing software for CPA firms, don't underestimate the value of a good operational system. An accounting system is also really important. I'm just going to call it what it is. If you're still using Excel to track your accounting, you're not going to grow your business, or you're definitely not going to grow it beyond a certain point. It gets very overwhelming to do a good job at tracking your accounting in a way that will be actually effective for you to grow your business if you're still using archaic software and systems. And then the last thing we wanted to mention is the customer relationship management software. It's really critical and important to understanding how you're investing in your marketing, how you're getting a return from that investment, where your leads are coming from, and ultimately what's the total value that's really coming from these different marketing channels. And the CRM system also takes the guesswork out of following up with potential clients and leads. If you've got lawyers or CPAs that are trying to build business, or beauticians for that matter, or you as a personal trainer, these customer relationship management software programs are so slick. They can automate that tickler system to remind you about potential clients that haven't yet signed their documents or become a client or signed a contract. So people that aren't naturally good at business development, this takes all that like lack of natural capabilities out of the equation, and gives you just an automated, easy to follow administrative system that just tells you, reach out to this person. Now today, reach out to this person. They're very cool. Also, what's really important is that you actually regularly report and review the data. If you get this report every month and you never look at it, you might as well not be investing the resources in the creation of the report in the first place. Also, what's really important is, as a business owner, your willingness to pivot and change using that data and those results. That's what's really important here, is what is this story telling me about this report, about what's going on with our business? And maybe we need to dive a little deeper and figure out what's going on, but we shouldn't ever be afraid to pivot and change. I always say all the time, like, our strategic plans should be living and breathing documents, not things that get etched in stone and just put on a shelf and just left there to rot, right? They should be things that are constantly evolving, not changing for the sake of changing, right? We still want to achieve our results and stay on track. But if there's something going awry or not working, by all means, let's change it. And that kind of naturally ties into the don't have a set it and forget it mentality when it comes to marketing. You have to find that right balance, and we'll talk more about that later, of not changing too often, but not also staying stagnant and not changing at all. And then last thing we just wanted to mention was, a good little tip is turning on some Google alerts and put those in place for mentions about you online, positive or negative. And it helps you just get a little pulse on what people might be saying about you, or how many people might be searching for you outside of just what your agency is reporting to you. So as a business owner, if you want to know, like, how are people searching us and finding us, you can turn those Google alerts on yourself. And it's just another little accountability mechanism. And it empowers you as the business owner to be able to talk to your agency in a more meaningful way. So on that, you get to a break from my voice, and I'm going to pass it over to Matt.
Yeah, so Jaimee just went through a lot of information on the business side of running your business. And this is something that we run into all the time, where we, whether it's a lawyer, a business owner of a construction company, anything like that, where they need to know what aspects of their business are making them money and what aspects aren't. When we come to a law firm that has multiple practice areas and they're asking us to help them drive in leads to, increase revenue and all of that, it really helps us to know the value of each practice area case. So if they're doing PI as a personal injury case worth as much as a workman's comp case, they also do family law, like Jaimee was saying, as a divorce worth the same as a PI case, all of that. When we're going to, when they have a revenue goal that they're trying to reach, it really helps us from the marketing side to know what those values are. So we know where to put our efforts, how many cases they're getting on this for this particular matter on average per month, how many we need to get them per month to reach that revenue goal. Similarly, like down to the profitability of service providers, this comes back into the business a little bit. You need to know, like, what your lawyers, what your hairstylists, what your employees can handle. You don't want to overload them. You don't want to underload them. You need to make sure that you kind of find a balance of where, they're making the company money, but they're also not burnt out. Finally, with customer satisfaction, this may not feel as important. People will get emails back from their clients like, oh, we had a great time with you as a lawyer, and they might feel the warm fuzzies with that. But that doesn't necessarily help them. Customer satisfaction with reviews and online testimonials and all of that help in a number of ways. Especially from a Google My Business standpoint, you need to make sure that if you're pushing people to give you reviews that push them to Google Business, that will impact your search optimization, help you show up higher on Google when you get those 4 to 5 star reviews, and your competitors aren't doing that, it will give you a bump there. So it also helps you kind of find out if there are things wrong within your organization. Say You keep seeing, yeah, we had a great time with this lawyer. I really would have loved it if they got back to me, with a question I had, sooner than 2 or 3 days later. If you see that consistently, you can kind of go through and, improve just your processes internally just based on what you're seeing and hearing from your clients. So this is an important part too, where we want to talk to your marketing vendors or your internal marketing team about the quality of work, pipeline, work in progress. So quality of work, obviously the better you do, the happier your clients are. And when you have happy clients, you need to gather those testimonials and push reviews. A very easy way to do this is you can create pretty simple email outreach campaigns with a click of a button. Hey, we heard you had a great time with us. Click here to leave us a review on Google, click here to leave us a review on Facebook, click here to leave us a review on Yelp, whatever your review aggregator that is most important for your industry. And I will stress again, Google should be probably the most important for everyone. These types of pushes will help you in a variety of ways, from when people are researching different law firms to see which one they want to go with. If they see dozens and dozens of 5-star reviews versus a client that has 2 5-star reviews, 2 3-star reviews, 1 1-star review, they're more likely to be leaning towards going with you. With a pipeline of future work, you need to make sure that you are quantifying the amount of work you want in the future. This will help your marketing team, push the areas that you really want to see grow. If you have 3 or 4 different practice areas and you want to add a fifth practice area, you might not need to market so much in the other ones that you're well known for, and then push into this new one that you are trying to build a brand and build a reputation in. With the work in progress, this is something that Jaimee was alluding to, where if you don't know what your current capacity is, then you can either end up getting too much work and overwhelm everyone at the firm. Everyone is just frantic, and you start losing things, dropping through the cracks and all of that. So you might feel this urge to back off on your marketing efforts. That is not a great idea for the most part. Jaimee has this nice analogy she likes to use, that marketing is like a slow drip that slowly ramps up. And so once you turn it off, it's really hard to get it back to the level it was before. So if you feel overwhelmed, you stop your marketing, the leads stop coming in. Once that work, you get caught back up and you're trying to get started again, it can be really hard to get back to that level that you were before. So understanding what your team can manage is super important, and that's why this is such an important aspect to track. That way you can go to your marketing team and let them know where they need to shift their efforts. And if you get into a point where you're feeling like that overwhelmed, instead of cutting your marketing, there are other ways that you can kind of go about shifting that workload around, whether that's partnering with other professionals, getting referrals out there, delaying the start of service. So say, you're overworked for the next 2 months, but a client can sign on 3 months from now, you can start kind of doing that sort of thing. And then if it comes down to it and this work just seems like it's going to keep coming in, it might be time for you to expand and look for someone new. So a lot of the times, the first thing that business owners will want to do if they're feeling overworked is cut the marketing. We do not recommend that. We recommend finding other ways to deal with the volume of work coming in, and tracking that is super important. So
I wanted to jump in and just share something real quickly that I learned that I thought was really valuable. And that's that it's not necessarily a bad thing to have to say no to your potential clients. What it does is it tells them that you're sought after, right? And that a lot of people want to be working with you, regardless of what your business is. And if you already right now have too much work anyway, what do you gain by saying, you know what, I'm so sorry, but we care too much about quality of work and good customer service that we're at capacity and can't take you on for the next 2 months. But if you're willing to wait, we'll set a reminder to call you in the next 2 months. And if you're still available and want to work with us, we would still love to have you as a client. There's no harm in that. It tells the potential client that you're sought after. And if you call them in 2 months and they're willing to wait, they're still there. versus turning off the marketing engine and affecting what could be coming in so many months down the road. That's a much better way to be at least keeping that pipeline moving, even though you're not directly taking on the work right then. So in this next section, we wanted to actually bring this into reality because we've been a part of, presentations, many of them in the past, especially where you get, marketing people that are talking, high level, and they're all excited about the things you should do or the things you shouldn't do, but it never really gets down to examples and like, what does that actually mean for my business? So it's easy for me as the MBA to say, oh, you should be measuring your gross profit and cost of goods sold. And you're like, yeah, whatever. I'm never going to do that. Like, I mean, I'm a realist, right? Like we understand, we know our clients. So what we thought we would do, and this could be kind of interesting because really our goal here at the end of this is to help you feel like you are empowered to be able to have better conversations with your marketing team, whether that's internal or external, so that ultimately you drive the business results that you want, right? Our goal here today is not to tell you like you should do this marketing strategy or this marketing strategy. We honestly just want to help you drive your results, whatever that is, whether it's growing, making more money top line, more money bottom line, whether it's growing your market share. That's our ultimate goal here, is trying to share tips with you that will help you partner better with your agency to ultimately drive those results. So I'm going to share the business goal, and Matt's going to kind of hop in and share what that marketing goal would look like. And then we're going to share some real practical examples for you so that now you can start to conceptualize what that means for your business. Bear with us a little bit because, I have experience, and so does Matt, in general professional services. All of our clients right now are lawyers. So we're using some frequent lawyer examples, but I will try to, with my words, like I did in the past, also translate that for other industries. So if we want to set a business goal of revenue by practice area or service line, Matt, talk about that translation to marketing.
Yeah, so this is a very good example because it comes back to, say a client wants to make X number of dollars. If they know the average value of what a client is to them, then that you can go directly to either your internal team or your marketing agency that you're working with and say, last year we had 38 cases in this practice area. This year we want to get a 50. Now that gives them a very definitive number, like of what they're trying to do in terms of driving in clients. If you just go to your marketing agency and go, we want more clients, which is what most people and most companies do when they hop on with a marketing agency, that doesn't mean nearly as much as if you can give them a definitive number of what they're trying to reach. Because if you're just trying to, especially if you don't even know like the numbers that you had last year, or it's hard for you to find those or anything like that. If you can get those definitive numbers and go to your agency, it gives you the ability to hold them accountable for what they're doing. So if 3 months down the line, you're only at 3 clients that you've gotten for this practice area, then you can go to them and go, hey guys, what are you doing? You're not doing a good job of what you're supposed to. They might come to you and go, well, look at all the clicks on your website and your traffic's increasing a ton and all your impressions with these ads and all the brand awareness and all of that. All of those numbers can look great and it's easy to make those type of numbers sing, but it doesn't mean anything if it's not helping you reach your goal.
Absolutely. A real good example of this you'll see on the screen, but I also have one just for legal back office. We we know the value of one client for us, and we know the value by practice area. And we tried to outsource our marketing for a little bit. It's always that people always say when you have a core practice area to not actually do that work for yourself. So like if you're an accounting firm, don't do your own accounting because you're never going to do it. You're always going to do the client work. And we realize that too, right? We're always going to do our client marketing work, but not our own marketing work. And so we went to our agency and said, okay, we want 9 new clients by the end of the year in 6 months. And based on that marketing work, after 3 months, we didn't have one, but we were ranking on the first page of Google search for, law firm consultants. And I was like, awesome. We're ranking on the first page. Cool. 6 months later, still not one client. So all that investment and the fact that we're on, the first page, ultimately it doesn't matter. And even if it's after a year or 2 years, how long are you willing to invest before you decide that that particular channel is maybe the one that's not working? But being able to go to your agency and say, we need 50 divorce cases to hit our goal, because we know that each divorce case is worth $10,000 and we want to make $500,000 annually in this practice area, that translates to an agency. We need 50 cases. The next one, and we'll try to kind of, build on this as we go, is understanding, our revenue, our build hours, whatever, however you measure sales, and the relation to cases or clients or patients, and sort of measuring it, I say by human, right? So meaning, okay, we're talking about the cases that we need, and how does that translate into like what we're going to need for the year in terms of leads, So Matt, I'll let you take it away and talk about the marketing.
Yeah, so this is another easy one too, that, as long as you come with a definitive number, it really helps with your communication and keeping, you and your marketing team on the same page. Again, most businesses are just going to go to the marketing agency going, we need more leads, we need more leads, we need more leads. If you can go back and see, okay, we get 200 leads, our example here, 200 leads a year, and we convert 25% of them, you need to get X number of leads to get to that goal. That gives your marketing agency a definitive goal and a definitive number that they can strive for. So if they're running, Google ads for you and they're getting you, 20 leads a month there, they're doing an email campaign for you, doing 5 leads a month there, they're doing, search optimization, and, you're getting organically, 5 leads a month, that kind of thing. They'll know where, or like a number that they need to hit each month for you to average for your goal. Now, this also helps too in another way as well, because you can be pushing in tons and tons of leads, but if they aren't the same quality of leads, then it's not going to give you the same result. So just having these numbers on hand where you can refer back to will allow you to make sure that the marketing agency isn't just trying to spin numbers or talk circles around you, showing, hey, we got these number of clicks and this many people looked at our ad and kind of thing, and we're so great and these ads are awesome. Well, you know exactly how many leads you need to get for you to reach your goal. So having those numbers that you can take to them and go, hey, we're not getting the number of leads that we need, that makes it sure that they know that kind of lights a fire under them to either change up what they're doing or just optimize what they're doing a little better.
Yeah. And it also just creates incredibly clear expectations, right? And there might be a reason someone might not, it's not that anyone's doing anything wrong if you're not getting to the leads that you want, but it becomes very clear what you're looking for. Because if your agency thinks getting you 5 leads a month is awesome, and you need 200 and that's going to only get you to 60, right? They come in without expectations thinking, oh, we got you 5 leads, right? And you're like, 5, I need way more than that, So it takes out that ambiguity around what the expectation is. And again, you might have to spend more money. Like they might say, these are the maximum leads we think we can get for you at this spend. Now you should still see an efficiency of spend over time. We'll talk about the measuring the ROI, here in the next couple slides, but it might be that, again, it's not due to effort, but it might be spend, it might be the types of channels. So just keep that in mind too. It's not that anyone's doing anything wrong, but it creates that clear expectation of what you're trying to achieve together in that teamwork.
And can we go back just a second?
Yeah.
Talking on that a little bit. Oh, I guess maybe on the next page this might fit too. But going back to that, like with Google ads, it's very tough to predict the cost for what a Google ad is going to be. There are all sorts of different estimators you can get out there. But from my experience, until you're actually running some ads and getting some results, it's really tough to see what the cost for keyword bidding is going to be, what types of bidding you need to do to get the leads and all of that. So if you're giving your marketing agency a budget of $1,000 a month to try and get you 50 leads, that might be an incredibly unrealistic expectation. And your marketing agency would be able to tell you that pretty straightforward. That's why you need to give them these expectations up front so they can come back to you and give you a better idea of what it would take to reach that goal.
Yeah, good point, Matt. So the next one we want to talk about is really the profitability of your cases and your clients. And this is all speaking to like how we're actually measuring our ROI or measuring the return, and is it an effective spend of dollars in marketing for the cases that we're getting?
Yeah, and then so that comes into this cost per lead. So, if you're running a Facebook ad and you're getting, it's costing you $12 per form fill for that Facebook ad, then you're running Google ads and it's only costing you $2 per form fill for that Google ad, then you know that maybe you should be putting more money into Google versus into Facebook. So running these sort of like, the kind of ROI analysis on all of your different marketing channels, and your marketing agency should be providing you this information as well. But just making sure you have an idea of what it costs and how much you're willing to spend to get that case will help a lot. With Google ads in a high competitive market for highly competitive keywords, I've seen bids go as high as hundreds of dollars for a single click on an ad. If you're, in a major market that has a ton of, PI lawyers that are, all competing each other for these, hurt on the job keywords, it could be hundreds of dollars. But, if you're willing to spend hundreds of dollars to get that case that could end up being hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue for your firm, then it might be worthwhile to invest, a ton more into your ads. But if you don't have that kind of the kind of revenue or the kind of spend or budget that you can afford on that, you would need to look into different channels and different types of marketing to find those leads.
What I really love about this too is once you start tracking it today, it's actually going to be more beneficial for you in the future, because then you can see over time, how are we able to get more clients at a more efficient spend once we get to that point where we're achieving what we want. So we're just kind of going with the same example across all of these metrics to try to keep it simple. But if it costs us $100 per lead and we want 200 in the year, well, it's going to cost us $20,000 that year to get that many leads. And if we know it costs us $400 for the case, but we're bringing in 10,000, well, that's great. We have $9,600 left that's going to go towards the other expenses, like the payroll of the person to do the work, for example, and operating expenses. But next year, if we're running this same calculation and we see, man, now it's costing us $150 per lead, but we're not necessarily getting equivalently that many more leads. Well, we know we can ratchet down our spending to get to what we want it to be. Or if our $400 per case is starting to grow, that means, is the revenue growing along with it? So if our cost per case, our cost per client is going up, but also the revenue associated with it is going up, that means we're getting higher value cases. But if the value is not going up and we're still getting $10,000, but our marketing keeps going up and now it's costing $600, we have to ask ourselves why. It might be that it's more competitive in that space and the click per click ads are costing more. It might be that we're spending money in areas that we shouldn't be spending money in at all because it's not bringing us the return. So this is one of those metrics that once you start tracking it, it's something that will be effective for you even more so over time. The next one is customer satisfaction and quality of work, which I realize, I've heard it many times, especially in law firms, because it's just so unfamiliar. How do you measure quality, quality of someone's work? It is possible. How do you measure consistency of work across a case? So when you start measuring these on the business side, they really can lead to some great ways to communicate with your marketing team, but also to help you from a marketing perspective, even if it's not your external team that's managing it. So I'll let Matt speak to the specific.
Yeah, so this is a really good one. Like pretty much every business should be doing some sort of survey with their clients for how their experience was. And even a lot of companies are doing that. One of the more important things to take away from that is looking at the surveys and actually making changes based on what you're seeing. One of the best ways that I can use surveys and marketing is you can find out the happy clients and the not so happy clients really easily based on a customer satisfaction survey. And once you find the happy clients, those are the ones that you can reach out to on the next step to try and leave you reviews or ratings online where people can see the testimonials and all of that. So what we like to do is, we normally set a goal of trying to get, as we say here, 2 to 5 or, 2 reviews a month from clients that we want that are like 4 to 5 stars. So if our clients can send out a customer satisfaction survey, maybe once or twice a month to the clients that they've either closed their cases on or are, most of the way done with the case, we can get a good list of, 10 happy clients for that month. And with that, we can send out a secondary email like, hey, we saw you were satisfied with your lawyer. Would you be willing to leave her a 5-star review? Click this link here to leave one on Google. Click this link here to leave one on Facebook. Super easy way. Doesn't really cost that much. There are tons of online. SurveyMonkey is an easy one. A lot of these CRMs will have integrations to send customer satisfaction surveys, and just using that information to both get marketing, testimonials on your website and on the internet, and then also just seeing where there might be deficiencies in the services you're offering are just huge. And these are both really low cost to no cost ways of improving your business and your brand and image.
What's great is I think most business owners today are now convinced on the importance of positive online reviews and how detrimental negative reviews can be. The problem is that there's no consistent operational process to ensure the consistency of those reviews getting posted because no one's measuring customer satisfaction. So we're dependent upon the lawyers or the CPAs or the beauticians hearing their clients say, oh, I just love you, you're so great. And now we need them to say, oh, will you go leave me a review? If you're measuring customer satisfaction, it creates a consistent operational process to push those online reviews and to push those online testimonials. And frankly, you worry less about if you get a kind of dissatisfied client, now you can be proactive about solving that problem before they go post something negative. So this is as much about pushing the positive as is about risk mitigation on the negative side, but it won't happen if you're just telling people to do it. The customer satisfaction and that measurement of quality being a process in your firm or in your company is going to help push these metrics forward.
And I tell clients this all the time when we talk about reviews. Think of yourself. When are you most likely to actually go on and leave a review from a business? When you're really satisfied with the business organically, or when you're really pissed off at the business organically? If you're relying on getting reviews organically, you are only going to be seeing 1-star reviews come through from dissatisfied customers. You need to proactively reach out to the happy ones, give them a nudge or two, and then even then only a small fraction of them are going to leave reviews. That's why it needs to be an ongoing continuous process that you're doing every month, every week, doing something about it to even obtain a small number of those 5-star reviews. But the small it builds over time. So you do this and get 2 reviews a month, after 2 years all of a sudden you're up to almost 30 reviews possibly that are all 5-star. So it's just something you need to make sure you're doing.
This last one is when you're measuring, I think this is our last one anyway, the pipeline of future work and work in progress. Yep, last one. And this is really, really important when working with your marketing team to avoid some of the things we talked about earlier in that feast or famine, not having enough customers or having too many customers. So how that translates to marketing is?
Well, that's where it comes in, where you need to be holding your marketing team and your marketing agency accountable. So if you have a goal of you need to get 100 clients in the year, and after the first 3 months you've only gotten 10, obviously you are not on track to hit that goal. So that's where you need to come back to them and let them know that whatever they're doing right now does not appear to be working. They either need to rework or re-optimize or completely change what they're doing to help you hit that goal. That's why we always do monthly meetings with our clients where we can run through all the marketing numbers, talk to them about what they're seeing, because a lot of the times we'll see numbers that look great from our end, but if the client isn't seeing the numbers great from their end, what they're looking for, there can be this huge disconnect. That's where Jaimee was giving the example of this agency working for us, trying to help us get new clients. They were seeing these great numbers for SEO, they were touting how awesome that is, and that it's great to be on the first page of Google. We love that. We love to hear that. However, it wasn't translating to what we were trying to do. So, instead of, kind of taking that feedback that we were giving them, they just kept pushing back on us that no, what we're doing is working, when we were telling them no, what you're doing is not working. So you need to be able to take, what you're doing and your goals and adjust them to, fit, what your entire annual goal is, and be checking on that regularly.
Mhm. Absolutely. And don't be afraid to change those goals if they need to be changed. What if you're exceeding your goals? Like we always talk about if you're not quite hitting them, but if you're exceeding your goals, like set something higher, right? Like maybe you set the bar a little bit too low, especially if you're spending those amount of dollars, right? Or if you really don't want to be growing that quickly, maybe you do ratchet back a little bit because it was more than you needed to be spending. It doesn't mean you're turning it off entirely, but there's that adjustment that can be made as well. So what we kind of wanted to leave you all here with on this last point is really understanding return on investment. And I always like talking about ROI through the lens of dollars and joy, because we invest multiple things in our lives. We invest dollars, we invest time, we invest our talent and our skills. And sometimes that investment brings us money, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it brings us joy, sometimes it doesn't. So I'll talk more about that in a little bit. But I think ultimately, at the very minimum, if we don't have an ultimate plan, without business goals at the very, very top, we can't set marketing goals. We tell our new clients coming on board all the time, if you don't have an existing strategic plan or marketing plan, you really can't work with us because we're not task doers, right? Because we want to add value and make sure you're getting the value out of the work that we're doing. And if you're just going to say, well, I just want you to do 10 social media posts a month for me and write 2 blogs, that's not our model. Our model is to help you drive real business results. So we need you to be able to communicate with us. This is what I want to achieve in my business. And that's just not our model. That's just business best practice. I mean, it's statistically proven that companies that have a strategic plan earn more in revenue and earn more in net income. So for your same efforts, why not earn more top line and bottom line? So number one, you can't even start to measure return on investment unless you actually know what you're trying to seek or what you're trying to achieve. And then the second thing is understanding where your leads are really coming from. We get often very frustrated with agencies, because we're a marketing team too, but I just think the world of advertising and marketing agencies has just shifted so much through the years. And when we talk about where our leads are coming from, a lot of times agencies will say, well, you just can't measure the ROI of marketing. Now we will admit it's challenging. It's not that it's not challenging, but it can be measured. We understand that, if someone finds us on social media and says, oh, well, I saw your Facebook post about X, but they also maybe saw a billboard and they maybe also heard a radio commercial, how do we attribute that lead? We understand that. But at least understanding where your leads are coming from, even at a high level, will allow you to actually start to measure. And don't always just trust the word of the customer. That's been part of the challenge, is we use the customer's opinion or what they say to us as being the lead source that we attribute it to. And that's why it's been so wonky. But today, especially with digital, we can measure far more than we ever could on where that lead actually came from. And that's where having a really good CRM, that customer relationship management system we mentioned before, also comes in handy. Because when you get someone come in through your CRM, they might say that they found you on Facebook, and maybe they thought they did, but we can usually see the trail of how they found you. And we might say, no, that was actually the Google ad. I can't tell you how many times we've had someone, oh, I think I saw one of your ads. And I was like, we don't run ads. Like, we've never even run an ad, but they thought they saw an ad, right? But now I can see what form they filled out and where it came from, right? Now, sometimes there's going to be that wonkiness, but understanding where your leads are coming from, even at a high sense, will help you get to that ROI. And then also understanding the cost in those channels, I think, is really important to measuring the ROI. What we talked about earlier, the cost per lead or the cost per acquisition of a new client, that's going to be different on social media if you're doing Facebook ads, or if you're doing Google ads, or if you're doing radio or TV ads. So if you can understand the cost to get a client on radio versus the cost to get a client on Facebook, you might want to ratchet up your Facebook spend because you're like, oh my gosh, the cost is only $5 on Facebook versus radio. The cost is, $95. Now, if we cut radio, Matt and I have seen this before. If we cut radio out altogether, that might totally be a detriment to the whole campaign. So we're not saying cut radio, but maybe you put a little bit more spend into your Facebook because now you've got a very efficient spend. If it's only $5 per lead on Facebook, we can drive in a higher volume of leads. Even if some of them aren't exactly the right qualified leads, statistically, we're going to get more clients out of that higher lead base.
And this part, that don't pivot too quickly. This is the one we see all the time too, where, marketing campaigns sometimes take, 6, 8, 12 weeks before you're going to start seeing actual results from them. So if you start a Google ad campaign and, the first month, this kind of learning phase month where your ads aren't fully optimized, Google's algorithm is still doing its thing, you might only see one lead. You might see 0 leads come in on your $1,000 spend. A lot of, business owners will come to that first meeting, go, we spent $1,000 and didn't get anything out of that. Let's turn it off. That is not necessarily what you should be doing, because sometimes, again, these channels take, somebody seeing the ad 5 times before they actually click on it and fill out a form. Or maybe they'll see the ad, they'll click on it and they won't fill out the form this time, but 2 weeks later when they see the ad again, they'll finally, have the motivation, or something's changed where they actually need the service now. So with these types of marketing campaigns and everything like that, be careful about, watch the numbers, look at the ROI, but don't just, as soon as you see a bad number, say, okay, this isn't working, let's do something else. Sometimes it takes time. So give it a little bit and then, take it from there. Just don't make that really rushed kind of reactionary decision to cut something without giving it a proper amount of time.
Absolutely. So we won't reiterate everything, and we want to end here with sharing with you all like what we do and how we might be able to help you. We've said it before, don't pivot, don't set it and forget it, but also understand the value of your time and what you're investing in that might bring you clients and leads. If you're investing your time in something that brings you joy because you like it, like it's a women's business brunch or whatever, do that. But if you spend too much time investing in things that don't ultimately bring you dollars and just bring you joy, you want to find a right balance there as a business owner. So we said at the very beginning of the call, legal back office partners with small to mid-sized law firms, and we do strategic planning and consulting, really helping law firms grow and achieve the goals that they want to achieve. But we also do outsourced accounting, marketing, and HR. If it hasn't been apparent by this call, we really do care about being a business partner, and we are pretty much realists. Like, we want you to achieve because we want you to be our client for the next decade. And as you achieve goals, like that's a direct sign of our success and our ability to partner with you. So it is not in our best interest to get you to spend money somewhere you shouldn't be spending money that's not going to ultimately get you a result. So if you have any interest or you have any questions after today, we do have our contact information on here. Feel free to reach out. We're available. We're very passionate. As you can tell, we love talking about this topic area. And ultimately, we want to help business owners achieve the success that they want to achieve in their businesses. So thank you so much for having us today, Maddy, Smith.ai. Thank you. We really do appreciate the opportunity.
And one last shout out, we do primarily focus on law firms, but we do have clients that are not law firms as well. So don't be dissuaded by legal back office. We can do marketing for anyone.
Fantastic. Bingo. That's really wonderful. And thank you so much for this fantastic presentation. I think having both of you present really made for such a rich experience, and to get both of your backgrounds sort of contributing to the advice here. Appreciate it a ton. Thank you for your time, for hanging out with us for an hour, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And I will share the recording as well as any notes that Jaimee and Matt have, so you can get in touch with them and learn more about how their services can benefit your law firm or your business.
Awesome. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.